Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Wake Up Legendary. Happy Monday. I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited for all of you as you come on in and join us live. As always, we have another amazing guest. Yes, I am in a little bit different location because I'm a work from home, and home is where the Wi-Fi is, as I like to say. So right now, my Wi-Fi home is in the Destin area of Florida, visiting family all week long, which is pretty cool, pretty exciting. So come on in. Let's do a few housekeeping items as we kick off this Monday episode and everyone comes on in. As always, if you are interested in getting a notification, it just hit my phone, if you heard that. Every morning when we go live with a direct link to join us live, head over to legendarymarketer.com/WUL. It will take you right to our Facebook broadcast room that you can join. You'll get 5 notifications a week, one each weekday morning, about a minute into our live broadcast, with a link to join us live. There's no other messages that land in there. No one else that's in there can message back, so you'll never be spammed. You will literally just get 5 messages a week. And then you'll never miss an episode of Wake Up Legendary, which is pretty darn cool. Next, as always, if you would like to check out our challenge, hop in and join our mastermind. Grab the blueprints because you're finally ready. Head over to legendarymarketer.com/enroll, and you can check out everything there with easy access for you. All right, let me see who we have joining us. Good morning, everyone. And without further ado, please welcome Donna to the show. Good morning, Donna. How are you today?
Morning. I'm well, thank you.
So where are you joining us from? Where are you in the world?
I am in Rochester, New York, which is about an hour east of Buffalo, so up in upstate Western New York.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So share with me, I took a little peek at your socials and I'm so pumped about your story, but share with all of us how you got started, what you were looking for, were you even looking for us, and how to start online and jump into the online space. Give us some backstory.
Yeah. So, I think like many of us, we anticipate what our retirement's going to look like when it gets here. And, it's filled with, I'm going to be physically active and playing golf a lot and like exercising and helping take care of my parents or volunteering and doing some new hobbies or taking care of projects around the house. So that's what I anticipated happening when I retired. And then I retired and I had developed some back issues. So all of a sudden I wasn't able to do any of the physical things that I wanted to do, which really put, like it was a huge bummer. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I did projects and things like that around the house. And then like after the so-called honeymoon period was over, I felt like I regressed like this 7 or 8-year-old wandering around the house asking my mom, there's nothing to do. What am I supposed to do? And I sort of lost my sense of purpose. Like I would go out to dinner with some of my friends that are still working, and a lot of the conversations would revolve around work, and I didn't feel like I was adding much value or really engage in those parts of the conversation, which was, again, like I felt a little disconnected. So I was just happened to be scrolling on social media and came across Gwen's post. Everybody knows who Gwen is. And I started following her for a while and became intrigued and thought, you know what, I'm going to invest in this and invest in myself. So I jumped in and it was a 15-day challenge at that time. And was like immediately, as soon as I jumped in, I was like, this is exactly where I need to be. I felt great about learning something new. I knew it was going to be a challenge with some of the tech stuff because I'd never posted on social media before. I wasn't really that tech savvy. And then I got the blueprints and went to work. And so I think I started posting in early April.
Okay.
And, like I look back at some of my posts and, you know, the text is running off the screen, and like, so, you know, I've come a long way. So I feel really good about that part. And just started speaking the language to retirees about like, what's your retirement been like? Are you worried about, you know, outliving your retirement savings and that sort of thing?
Mhm.
It's been really, really exciting. I've, you know, so it's been really fun, and I'm looking forward to like continuing to grow personally, as well as exploring what other opportunities I have within the digital space.
Yeah, definitely. And I I think it's more about something else than the money,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
And I think that's you really hit on that point really well. And I'd love for you to even expand on it further. Is there's a lot of us, you know, if you retire and you're like, what's next? Because you're not going to an old folks home. You're not in that stage where, you know, you're you want to still live, you want to get out there, you want to do all the things, and
Yeah,
you still want to feel like you're contributing to
yeah,
something, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think the other thing too, Joanne, I mean, you touch on a really good spot there, point there, is like I went from like, you go into work, whether you're working from home or whatever, and you have goals. Like, we have a structure in our day from the time we start school as in kindergarten. Like every day we're doing something and it's very structured, to all of a sudden, like your day isn't structured anymore. It's up to you to structure your day. And sometimes that can be a little challenging. It was for me. But then again, just like for me, I felt like I needed to do something that like filled me deeper than, like, it wasn't so much about the money for me. It was really about like finding something that I could get engaged in, that I could like, hey, this could help other people that are potentially in the same boat I am, that have lost, like they're stepping into retirement and are feeling a little bit lost and wondering, what am I supposed to be doing? Um, so yeah, and so like I'll backpedal a little bit. And so my background, you know, I'm a retired clinical social worker. So, you
Right.
know, I've had a lot of years of helping people, and I feel like I kind of like missed some of that when I retired. So I wanted to like get back into that. So I feel like that's a good part of why I'm doing what I'm doing, is to help other people know that there's a solution out there that maybe they're not aware of, that could be of value to them.
Right, definitely. And it's just I think it's almost the same thing as when moms are at home with their little ones and feeling like everything's about everyone else. And you want to serve, you want to help, but you also got to do something for yourself still. And while you were in your job, you were helping others, but it still gave you some joy, a sense of accomplishment, like you had a purpose
Yeah.
beyond that, right? And
Yeah.
so now this brought that feeling back. And that's what I think is cool. It's all what doesn't matter what stage we're in life, we're looking for something that gives us that bigger purpose,
Hmm.
that gives us that fulfillment.
Yeah.
And you got that from your 9 to 5 in a sense,
Yes.
so to speak. And now you
Yes.
needed that. You were like, oh, it's gone. What do
Hmm.
I do? Because
Hmm.
you got a few decades left of this life, right? Like,
Right.
it
Right.
just doesn't
Hopefully,
matter
fingers
where you're at,
crossed.
right? And you're like, "What am I gonna do?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Did you find it hard when you first got into the education, like the tech side and all of that? What were your challenges when you first started?
I was just trying to absorb so much so quickly, right? I
Mhm.
was so eager, just hungry to learn. And so I had to make sure that I was pacing myself, not to do everything all at once, but to kind of gradually, you know, take in whatever I could and be able to execute on that. Um, you know, the tech stuff was a little bit challenging, but you know,
Mhm.
all the resources that are available to all of us is just outstanding. And I think that's one thing that I really wanted to stress today, is like, use the resources that are out there. I mean, I think, you know, finding a balance between doing what doing what I could do to find the answers myself, right? Because that's how
Mhm.
we grow. Like, you search and you find the answers, and you can get them if you look. But if I'm spending 3 or 4 hours on how to figure out how to do something and I just can't do it despite everything that I've looked at, then it's time to reach out and say, hey, can you give me a hand? So that's been really great. So the tech stuff, I did invest in the blueprint, so that was really, really helpful. All the walk through all the lessons, and you keep going back and you can watch it over and over and over again as many times as you want to, is like really huge and really great to have. So that's been really helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And it's sometimes I run into people in our community, virtually, of course, who are like, I went through it, but I don't have I still have these questions. I'm like, well, go back through it, re-watch it again. You're going to grab that nugget you're looking for. Most likely it's in there. I promise. By all means, we learn and we actually collect information and knowledge the more times we go through it. In anything that we do. We can't just go play basketball once and be amazing at it. You have to put it, you have to practice it.
Right.
Practice involved. And here it's watching the videos over and over, pausing, applying, checking it out. And then if you still have questions, that's not your, I got to quit, throw in the towel and be done. You go to support 101 and get your question answered.
Right. I think along those lines too, Joanne, is like the timing, right? So, sometimes when you're learning something new, when you're learning it, as far as which stage you're in, is really important. It's sort of like when you learn something new, when we're just starting off on this and we're watching a video on how to do something, it's like, okay, but then once you get into whatever you're, get into outlining and doing your videos and stuff, you go back and now you can apply, like, okay, now this makes sense because now I know where it fits in and now I know how it all comes together. So I think that's another reason that I often go back and re-look at things as well.
Right. Yeah. It's good to do that. It's not bad. I think some of us see re-watching a video as some type of, I failed because I didn't get it the first time. But you're not going to. There's too much information in all these videos, guys. You have to go back. You're not going to be ready to apply all of it right in that second.
Right.
Yeah, totally. So what's been the biggest change you've seen in yourself in this process from when you started the challenge to where you are now?
I feel like I'm more confident. I would say that certainly is one piece. I'm more confident. I mean, just kind of, you stop and think about like, I didn't share that I was doing this with too many people because I wasn't sure how people were going to react to it. I was not real vulnerable when I first started posting, and I started posting some more vulnerable things, talking about emotion and things like that. And it felt risky, but it also was what I needed to do to, be authentic. So I think that was really important for me as well. Like I've just been able to just be okay with being who I am and not worrying about how people are going to judge me, because I don't want to give them that power. Like I need to do me.
Right. So let's walk through that. Let's unpack that a little bit. You're now more confident than when you started, but there's someone out there listening that's like, well, how did she get more confident?
Yeah.
How did she decide that no one else's opinion mattered? What did that look like for you on a day-to-day? Did you have those days where you're like, I just can't do this? How did you walk yourself out of that mindset?
Yeah. Well, so there'd be days that I would try to pull a post together and I'd look at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot post this. This is like horrible, whatever, But I'd always remember either Ryan or Drew or you saying a bad post is better than no post. Just put it out there, right?
Yeah.
So I would put it out there and and maybe I'd get some kind of reaction to it and maybe I wouldn't, but it was like, okay, but I did something and I took the step. I think the other thing is I started talking about the emotion that was connected to my retirement and my adjustment to retirement, like the loss that I felt, just like I thought it was going to be this way. It ended up being this way. And I really spoke to my feelings. And people connected to that. And I think that's where I had one post went viral for me. And then I was like, okay, I need to do more of this. And again, as I mentioned, like just being vulnerable is risky, but it is also how you connect with people. And I kind of think back to when I was practicing clinically, and had my practice doing behavioral health therapy, mental health therapy. People would come into my office, and obviously I couldn't experience everything that they experienced in their life to what they were coming in for, but I could connect with them on a feeling that was associated with what their experience is. For instance, if they were going through divorce, I could connect with them on a sense of loss. I could connect with them on a sense of failure. I could connect with them on all the emotions that are that they might be experiencing, right? So I use that sometimes when I'm thinking about my audience. Like, I can't connect with you potentially on what your retirement looks like, but maybe I can connect with you on a feeling that you're having in your retirement, right? The frustration, the loss, the worry, the sleepless nights, whatever, the disappointment, all that you might be experiencing. And so I saw that I was successful doing that, and I just started doing it more frequently. Now I pepper in some lighter things because that gets heavy for me sometimes to be like, oh, I got to talk about this more and more. But I do pepper in like, hey, did you know 86% of companies will, have a, affiliate program, and something that's a little bit lighter. But that's sort of how I kind of evolved into that.
Yeah, and I think it's important also that being vulnerable, sharing your story, isn't us telling you to just go dump it all out in the longest video ever. And then, it's not go cry, have a pity party. It's not go cry online or try to jam your whole story in a 1.5-minute video.
Right.
And then you're like, I sold him everything last week. It's about finding those little emotions, those little thoughts that sneak up on you each day. And that's a piece of content.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And I would assume you get better at it over time. Maybe that first vulnerable post is kind of you dumping it all out there, but then you learn how to storytell and connect.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your advice as you evolve that process for anyone that's like, how do I tell my story without just dumping it online?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I just try to figure out like, what are the key points, right? Like, can you identify one or two of those, the feelings maybe that are at the forefront for you, and how can you speak to those without everything, right? So, and then save some of that stuff to kind of like pepper out later, right? I mean, I didn't even think about, like, one of the things that came up for me was when I was telling some of my friends of what I was doing, they said to me, why didn't you tell me you were struggling, when you're in your retirement, adjusting to your retirement? And that turned into a post for me. Like, why aren't people talking about how hard it is to adjust to retirement, right? So, I mean, I thought about it, and I had conversations with them around what my fears were, as far as disclosing some of that, right? But then it was like, okay, how can I leverage this experience now and post on it? Because I'm sure other retirees are feeling the same way, or other people might feel the same way, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. As I'm thinking about it and unpacking, it's kind of like, well, retirement's supposed to be amazing, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the best time ever. You don't have the 9 to 5. You don't,
Right.
And suddenly reality hits and you're like, am I the only one that feels this way? I can't share this. I can't talk about it. So you hide it. And now you're pretending to be something that you're not.
Yeah. Right.
Pretending to have emotions that you don't. There's something totally different.
Yes.
I relate it back to when you're a new mom or a mom at home or or a dad that's, there's those life changes when you think you've checked the boxes. This is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to go to college. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do that, buy the house, all the things. And you realize I'm not happy, but I can't share that.
Yeah.
I'm not fulfilled. I feel a loss. I feel something's missing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And touching on those.
Yeah.
In your content, in those little things.
Yeah.
That it's just
Yes.
someone else gets it.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting too, Joanne, that some of the comments I get, like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're talking about this, because like I've been feeling the same way and I don't talk about it with anybody, or I can't talk about it with anyone.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, there's people that are like, I don't know what you're talking about, and I'm perfectly happy in my retirement. I'm like, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
great. I'm happy. That's awesome.
Right.
So you're not going to hit everybody, but
And that's okay. That's the
yeah,
goal. You don't
yeah,
want to hit everybody. That's
no,
not your audience.
no,
Right? You're like, good for you. Go find
yeah,
your people. I'm
right,
not it.
right,
Right?
yeah, yeah,
Oh. So you have had massive growth
yes,
on Instagram. Massive growth. But it didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight. So we want to make this abundantly clear. There was a period of time where you had very few followers. You had extremely slow growth. I'm sure there were days it felt like I'm just making videos for me to watch them only.
or my family.
Right?
Yes, yes, and so it is you're absolutely right. That piece was definitely challenging, and and just like, what am I doing wrong? What can I be doing differently? And I would be looking at other people that I would be following, and like, again, that's something else that you all like share with us. Like, go look at what you like about other posts. Like, what is it? Is it the content? Is it the lighting? Whatever it might be, right?
Mhm.
And see what you can learn from that. And that's what I did. And I kept, again, just kept trying things, and I was getting way too wordy in my caption, and it was, so then I started using ChatGPT to help condense things and make them more concise and clearer and that sort of thing. And so just continuing to just hash it out and keep plugging. But it was tough going. I think the first 3 months, three or 4 months or so, I had maybe 200 followers, but it took a long time just to get those. And then I had that one reel that went viral, which then taught me, like, okay, I got to be more vulnerable and use more emotion in my
Mhm.
in my posts. And it has just been unbelievable. Like, I think I'm at like 26,000 or something
Yep.
right now.
Yep.
So in the last 6 to 8 weeks, that's what's happened for me.
Mhm.
And I've gotten a lot of leads, which has been awesome.
Yeah.
So
That's how it starts. That's how it
yeah,
starts.
yeah,
But I wanted everyone to realize and remember those first 3 to 4 months, Donna didn't have a lot of growth.
no,
But she decided she was going to keep going. And there are many people that at some point in that phase, in that stage of their business, go, I'm done. And it could be just that next video, because that's what it was for Donna.
yeah,
It was just that next video. And she kept trying something new along the way, making adjustments, making little tweaks. She wasn't 4 months in, she wasn't making the same exact video that she did that first week, because your knowledge grew, your experience grew, your confidence in what you were doing grew, and you weren't looking for everybody else's opinion or acknowledgement. You were practicing your craft and getting better at it. And the only way that happens is if you keep going.
yeah. And I was leaning into mentoring. I mean, I'm in the mentor group,
Mhm.
which is really, really great. And again, leaning into like all the videos and rewatching and that sort of thing. I lost my train of thought. Okay, so what's your next question? Sorry.
It's all good. I love that you mentioned our mentorship group, which you are a member of, and you've been in that for probably 2 months now.
Yep.
2 months. So we're right at 8 weeks. And in that time, you've gained more confidence. You got a little more support, a little more accountability, like, okay, we got to keep going. And you're just at a new level in your business, a new level in your mindset, which is pretty cool. And it just continues to grow. What do you think you've pulled just in the first 2 months from having that mentorship piece added to your experience?
Oh, I mean, well, the community itself is just really super. I mean, being able to just post like questions or concerns you might have, or even successes, small wins. I mean, it's just such a supportive community. So, and it's just nice to have that there. Gwen and Sean are incredible, and they do such a super job with the weekly calls and walking through like the hot topics that we might have to help people out. I mean, it is really, really evident they are striving for all of us to be successful, right?
Cool.
So they put their heart and soul into it, and it's been great. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, awesome. It's, I really stress to everyone that listens is it doesn't matter if you're just in the challenge, you're not in the blueprints, you're doing something else. Get into our community, get into our Legendary Marketer Facebook group, get in there and get active, comment on people's posts, cheer on other people's wins to start with, and then start to share your small wins. That's how you start to be vulnerable. You start to be vulnerable in a safe space. That's what I always tell everyone on Decade in a Day. Share what you learned today and practice posting your feelings in a safe space with a safe topic. But you got to take that first step to do it, right? You've got to first, it's hard to go out there and be vulnerable, so to speak, share a win, share a challenge, share an emotion with the world right off the bat, especially if you're not used to posting ever on social media, even with your friends and family. So if you can put that into practice in a kind of a little bit safer environment, a private community, it helps. It helps a ton. You practice that engagement in a private community first, and you get better at it so that when it does happen on your public socials, you're that much further ahead, that much further along, I would say, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah.
I love how resourceful you are. You're like, these are the things I need, and I'm going to squeeze every little last drop out of them.
Yeah. I mean, it's you have to be kind of diligent in what, I mean, I've been really diligent in what I've been doing and really consistent. And, I figured it's like, if something's in front of you, why not take advantage of it? You've invested in it already in many ways, and just continue to use it. And it's a loss if you don't, you're losing an opportunity. And, so if you're wanting to be successful, you've got to be able to look at what's out there available for you to be of help when you need it, and take advantage of it. Raise your hand and say, somebody help me, please.
Right?
Yeah.
Worthy of getting your question answered.
Yes.
I think that's the biggest hurdle for many is there's too much fear. There's too much fear of judgment. I have to look like an expert already. No, we're all here learning. You got to raise your hand. That's the only way you're going to get to where you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, I think back at my first couple of posts, and they were just like, and just the like how anxious I was to post it. And even for like the first however many weeks I was posting, I mean, I still get a little, angst in my gut when I make a post. Like, is this really good? Is like, would I stop and watch this if it was in front of me? And I'm like, okay, I hope so. I think it looks good. It sounds good. I'm going to throw it out there. But I tell you, those first, I don't know, several weeks was tough. And I'd be looking at like my friends, what did you think of that? Like, what did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? And they're like, Donna, it's good. And I'm like, no, it's not good. They're being nice to me, which is really sweet. But I'm like, just give me some real feedback, please. I need it. So, but yeah, so it's a process. And I'm not sitting here saying I am great at this, because I'm not. I have so much learning to still do. I mean, I'm still like trying to figure out how to make those bubbles on my bio on my Instagram. I haven't done that yet, so there's all kinds of things I still need to figure out.
The highlights.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I don't even know the right word.
Well, what a perfect example of imperfect action, everyone, because there's no such thing as perfect. There's no such thing as perfect action. You just do the best you can and keep going along the way. And as it comes up, you're going to learn something new and apply it. And you can still have wins through that process. I mean, Donna's at 25,000 followers, 26,000 followers, and she doesn't have any highlights yet on her page. She hasn't learned how to build that. I'm going to share with you. You just take it from your stories. Once a story is live, click the 3 buttons, and then you can say add a highlight, create a highlight. And that's where you do it at.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. And then you'll always add to your highlights from your stories. It's basically a way to save stories.
Okay.
Think of it that way. So that your story doesn't disappear fully 24 hours later. You can add it to one of your highlights, and you can make different ones.
Or bubbles.
Little bubbles, we can call it, our little circles.
Yeah, thank you, Joanne. It's helpful.
Definitely. But that's what it's all about, is sometimes it's simple, but you're just not ready for it. You had other things you were focusing on, because you can't focus on everything all at once, guys. And you can still have wins. Yes, Jasmine, done is better than perfect, from David Sharpe himself. All day long, every day. Done is better than perfect. And we have to remind ourselves, put it on a Post-it, put it on a mirror, put it on your home screen on your phone, whatever you need to hear and see over and over in that reminder, put it there. And then just keep going. Take that next step. Keep rocking it. Which I love. What's your advice for someone that's in the challenge right now? It's just starting out. They're in that really unsure, what the heck is going on phase.
Take it one day at a time and just take really good notes and stick with it. It might feel overwhelming initially because of all the information that's coming at you. But again, you'll be able to go back and look through all that all over again. So just continue to just push through, get through those 5 days, and implement immediately whatever you're learning as soon as you can, right? So, and then again, like I said, go back and rewatch things if you need to, which you probably will multiple times.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Don't quit.
It really is all about just deciding you're worthy enough to keep showing up.
I was out to breakfast with my parents this past weekend, and we were in this restaurant where they had all these handwritten messages, like positive affirmation kinds of things, right? And one of them said, I wish I had taken a picture of it, but it said, if you start something and you feel like quitting, go back to remember why you started in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like what's our why, right? Like you go and you quit and you're thinking about quitting, like, why am I doing this in the first place? And do I want to go back to where I was? You probably don't want to go back to where you were. So keep pushing, because you will get to the other side, if you just keep moving forward, one step in front of the other.
Yeah. That's what it sounds so simple. It sounds so simple, but yet we all know how hard it is, how scary it is, that feeling that hits our chest, that anxiety, so to speak, that worry. of all the what ifs. It's that what if, the list of what ifs come into play. And we just have to push through it.
Mm-hmm.
Build our confidence, build our self-worth, build our self-esteem, because that's really what's missing.
Yeah.
And that we're worthy to push through, we're worthy to tackle challenges, that we're capable of it, and we can do it. And it's a good thing, because it actually means you're growing.
Yeah.
You're going to get unstuck from all of this if you just keep going.
One of the things that I started to do after I started posting back in April was I started keeping a journal. Like I would just put in there maybe every 2 or 3 days, not necessarily the targets that I was hitting on, people following me and my number of posts and that sort of thing, but more about like what I was feeling as I started doing this. Right. So I've been doing that for the last 5 months. So now I can go back and I can look at where I was 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, 5 months ago. And it is very rewarding. It's rewarding. And it's also like, I don't know, sad on one level that I was like, oh my God, I was so worried about that. But like, not the judge, but, like this part of me is like, I just want to hug myself. Like I didn't really need to be so worried about that. I was okay. Right. And so I think that's been really powerful for me, to just look at my own personal growth through this whole thing.
Yeah. I haven't met anyone yet that decided to keep going that didn't have personal growth, transformation, a new version of them that was buried come forward, or reveal those qualities that is living inside each of us, but we've been suppressing, and allowing them to come out and flourish and be center stage, which I think is cool. Let that confidence come out. Let your energy come out. Let your quirkiness come out. Let your sense of humor come out. And sometimes we put up those walls and don't allow those things because we might get judged. We might get judged by our coworkers, our friends, our family, right? So we suppress all of these things in all areas of our life. And this puts you right looking at the mirror going, it's time to step forward.
Yeah.
It's time to, this is me and it's amazing, and embrace it.
Yeah.
And doing that with a business, doing that as an entrepreneur, it feeds into every other part of your life too. And that's when your friends and family start to notice, oh, you're a little different than what you were a year ago, 2 years ago. That's where sometimes we level up our friend groups as well,
Right.
because we're just in a different place and they're still stuck down there and we are now up here, and it just doesn't match. And that's okay. That's okay. But that's where we get that really good, juicy, amazing fulfillment in ourselves when we start to step into that growth, that newness of things, and allow ourselves to experiencing it. I think it's cool.
One of the areas that I continue to struggle with a little bit is kind of being more playful. I think some of my posts tend to be a little bit more serious. So that's one area that I really got to continue to work at, like just to be like authentic and silly, and
right.
But in a way that I'm making a point, right? Not just to be
like,
right. Right. No, so that's an area that I'm definitely need to continue to work on, for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's good to identify it and go, you know what, this is an area that I feel a little more vulnerable about, a little uneasy, a little more unsure, but I'm going to start to experiment. I'm going to start testing it. I'm going to start stepping out of my comfort zone in that sense. Show my fun side a little bit more as you get more comfortable. And because that's, at the end of the day, guys, it's your business. It's your content. You get to decide what is your level of stepping out of your comfort zone. And it's okay if it's just a little bit at a time. Just a little bit at a time. And find where that line is for you that you feel really good about.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to all be overnight. You don't need to decide, oh, I'm going to be more this by tomorrow. maybe it's over the next 6 months.
Right.
And that's okay.
Right.
Which I love.
Right.
I want to leave you with the last word. I know you were giving advice for someone in the challenge, but anyone that's on here right now, there's a lot of people that are really connecting to your story and just feeling like, how do I take action? And give us the one thing that helped you on those days that were slow, those days that were hard, those days that little thought, maybe I should quit, started to sneak in, because we all have them. I think it's best to just acknowledge it.
Yeah.
How did you go, nope, I'm keeping quitting off the table?
So there's a couple of things. I might have to give you more than one nugget, if that's
Absolutely.
okay. One of them is definitely has been watching this show. So, because I typically try to do a post in the morning and then another one in the afternoon. But if I'm struggling and I'm like, or just like, oh my gosh, I'm like, nothing's working, or I don't feel like I'm getting off the ground, watching this show Monday through Friday has been helpful, because it kind of like, okay, I can do this, because I'm hearing the same thing from other people. Like it just takes time, and you got to be consistent. The other thing is I have like a post-it note and like on my desk, that just speaks to like, don't quit, you got this, like some positive affirmations that are kind of like where I might be doing my work. Then I can look at that and it helps me to keep going. So I would say those two things for sure definitely have been helpful.
Yeah. Love it. Fantastic episode. Thank you for coming on. You need to come back. I want updates, because I feel like you're right at the start of this blow up, which I think is awesome.
I hope so.
I want you back in a couple months and give us an update of that next phase that you're now getting into with your business, which is so cool. We got you right as where that switch has hit.
Yes.
Where you kind of were just taking action where no one was watching, and now you got eyeballs on you. You got followers, you got comments, you got things happening.
Right. So Joanne, the thing that comes with that, like one of the things that happened with me with getting all those followers was like, do I really have something important to share? Why are these people following me? Like that sort of like, oh my gosh, they're going to find out that I'm like I'm not for real, or like I have nothing to add. So that self-doubt, but those things sort of like continue to kind of creep up periodically, and you just got to like squish them down. Like, hey, what I am adding is of value, and people are following me because they feel like I have some value to give them. But that has been a little bit of a surprise to me, but it's all good. And I'd be happy to come back in another month or so. And hopefully I have more to share at that point too.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it. So you got to come back.
Okay. Sounds good.
Today. Take care.
Thank you.
Everyone, please go follow Donna on Instagram at Fulfillment After 50. And it's all connected. Fulfillment After 50. Go follow Donna on Instagram. Give her a follow, comment on her stuff. Let her know that you saw her on Wake Up Legendary. Yes, like Karen shared in the comments, there was a lot of gold bars dropped in that episode. She's just lovely to speak with. I can't wait to have Donna back. Fantastic story, fantastic example of what it looks like to take imperfect action, to stay consistent, and remember why you started, and to keep going. So thank you, Donna, for sharing all the gold today. If you missed any of it, go back and rewatch it. If you were here the whole time, go back and rewatch it. We have another episode tomorrow. As always, everyone, stay legendary. Peace.